Hey everyone, welcome back to
Bum
the
bum ba
Eurovision
bum 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 bum
podcast.
bum bum.
It is semi-final 2 reaction live. We are live on YouTube, X, Instagram as well. And lads, get your comments in. They're flying in already. We have just witnessed semi-final 2 of Eurovision 2025 and we have our qualifiers, and unfortunately Ireland is not one of them. We have failed to qualify for the grand final this year. Before we kick things off, we just want to say we are so proud of Emmy and the entire team in Basel. They gave it their best shot, and unfortunately, just the cards did not fall in our favor. And we'll get into all of that later on. But let us know your thoughts and your opinions in the comments tonight. We're gonna have a conversation about semi-final 2 and our thoughts and our general thoughts really heading into Saturday's grand final. But Lou, how are you feeling? You know, 10, 15 minutes after we just witnessed those results.
I mean, look, having Ireland in the final, Connor, would have been just the cherry on top of the metaphorical Eurovision cake. And I would have loved for us to have been there, but it wasn't to be. I don't feel necessarily that we were robbed of a spot, to be honest. I do think our reaction yesterday was spot on to what was probably going to happen. I have no idea how we did in the results. I'd be very interested to see that on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning. But I'm still really proud of the entry, and I think the team did a great job. We'll get into the hows, the ifs, the whys later on, but as it stands, it was such a fun song. It was a bop. It had, great fun moments right from Eurosong and throughout. And Emmy and Erlen, all the team, have just been such sweethearts. So props to them for being great ambassadors for Ireland. It must have been mental for them, having never been in Ireland, to have suddenly become our representatives. I don't know if they were totally expecting it themselves when they got into the Eurosong lineup. So well done to them for just giving it a great whack and enjoying the experience. Overall, for semi 2, I'm more positive than I was last night. One of I think David Farrell, one of our regular listeners, replied to me saying, "Lou, you must have got some good sleep on." He replied to me on Twitter, "You must have got some good sleep. You're a lot more positive today." And I would say I did, and that I am. The show was probably still not up to semi 1 for me, but overall I still enjoyed it. And I think the qualifiers, on the whole, I'm okay with. What do you think on the whole, Connor?
Yeah, before I get into that, I think just for a refresher, in case anyone is joining and is, unaware and can't remember the qualifiers from tonight, we had Armenia qualifying, Austria, Denmark, Finland, Greece, Israel, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, and Malta heading to the grand final, which of course meant that Australia, Montenegro, Ireland, Georgia, Czechia, and Serbia all failed to qualify. For me, I thought that the show was much better than last night. It flowed much better. There was less stop and start, and last night there was a lot of technical difficulties, as we said. Um, in terms of Ireland itself, I amn't completely surprised. You always go into it with a bit of hope, and I think, in fairness to Emmy, the production tonight was much better than last night. The vocals were there, the presence was a bit more there, but I think ultimately the party just wasn't created on stage, and I think that maybe feels, that failure goes down to the staging coordination of this performance, and I think her not moving from that rocket really went against us and just killed off any sort of party. Um, the dog wasn't really a big feature. If it was, it's like a party. It should be featured a lot, and it was more so cats in the background and the cat noises. Um, so yeah, I think overall with that, I'm not. I think we were always pre rehearsals, everything like that. We were always going to be a borderline qualifier at best. So seeing other countries come and improve so much, like the likes of Luxembourg and even Armenia tonight, we all said it afterwards. We wouldn't be surprised if this did qualify, and it has. So yeah, I'm sitting here not too surprised, but of course proud of Emmy and the whole team for what they did. And Emmy has been an absolute sweetheart from the sweetheart from the from pre Euro song all the way through till now, and just send Emmy all the love, guys, and Ireland and the whole team because, she's a sweetie and she's Irish now. So we got to continue welcoming her to this beautiful country. But yeah, not too surprised with Ireland. Overall, not too shocked. I think maybe people will be talking about Czechia not qualifying. That was a big favourite amongst fans going into it, but I think the performance on the night wasn't up to scratch. I'm delighted for Denmark. I think that was maybe a bit of a surprise. I didn't think the performance was staged great. Vocally, she's flawless, but I think overall it didn't really elevate much from what we saw at Thanks Melody Grand Prix. So I'm delighted for her. She looked absolutely over the moon. She was in tears for the whole like green room section. So happy for her. Anyone else? Laffy, of course. But we'll get into all this, as we talk on and on. But yeah, no real surprise regarding Ireland, unfortunately. But look, proud of Emmy and Ireland. I always forget Ireland.
Yeah. So where do we want to kick things off?
I guess maybe because we're Eurovision, we'll focus on Ireland for a little bit, and then we can talk about the qualifiers in general later on. But maybe if we want to dip into the comments first and see what people are thinking. If you want to pick any interesting ones out, guys, keep sending them in.
Emmy absolutely did her best, said Ray, but some finger pointing is needed at the artistic director, making such an upbeat song so static. I mean, it's our belief that staging wasn't the full original plan. I just don't think it could have been. I think if it was, I think it's crazy to have stuck her on the rocket for the full 3 minutes and not have her going anywhere else on the stage. I agree with an earlier comment, and I think you might have said it another day, Connor. They really should have put her brother, Erlen, on the rocket and then allow Emmy to move around, get down to that B stage, get closer to the audience, still get the dancers to move around her, and she could have focused on vocals. Your sister pointed that out, Connor, too static. I would have switched her, bro. Exactly. And her, so she could move towards the stage with dancers. Exactly, Rachel. It's like one brain cell. Emmy said on her Snapchat that her original staging plans before getting to Basel was that she came down from the rocket, but when it got to first rehearsals, it had to be scrapped because of timings. Yes, indeed. That is our belief here as well with what happened. I thought during the pictures or clips we weren't on the rocket, but maybe I am dreaming. It was probably the angles. There's a lot of comments about Marvin in the chat, and it's interesting in Eurovision over the last few years, people have become more aware of creative directors. I mean, personally, I think, this staging ultimately was a miss. But Marvin Dietman, has had hit and miss stagings. If you look up his YouTube compilation of all the stagings he's done, he's had some good ones. He's had some not so good ones. Sergio, unbelievable last year with Bambi. He's had a non-qualification with his entry for Cyprus. So could you say, he's hit and miss as well? It's, creative directors, they're going to win some, they're going to lose some. It's like any Eurovision country. I think like the real thing for Ireland is, like you've already spoken about it, Connor, the chat has mentioned it a lot. The word static has been used so much in the last few days, but it's so true. There's no other way to put it. The song doesn't go on enough of a journey, and the song is about a journey of this little dog going up to space. I personally don't think there was enough of the dog in the performance, and there was a serious lack of moment in the performance. So disappointing for us Irish fans. Death by staging. I mean, ultimately, should we have a support group for the Irish fans who, are we going to have to deal with now the local casual viewers we shouldn't have even sent her, she was Norwegian. Guys, have a few phrases in your back pocket to pull out, but the public gave her 12 in Eurosong. Have a few things ready to say, because we are going to get a bit of that this week.
Yeah, I think anyone who is waking up in the morning and complaining about, oh, we sent a Norwegian, we sent a girl who's never been in Ireland before the national final, it's not even written by Irish people. It's like, you can't blame any of that. First of all, Larissa's been living here for nearly 25 years. As you said, the public gave Emmy 12 points in Eurosong. The international jury gave her 10 points. the Irish national jury gave her 12 points. So she overwhelmingly won Eurosong way back in February. So there's no point of complaining about that now. You had your choice back in February, and altogether Emmy was chosen. So that is thrown out the door tomorrow morning. So just be ready for that with your local friends, as we like to say. Are you wrecking the set? I'll kill you.
Look at the comment. Jay says, I love your photo of Marty Whelan in your background. We do too.
We do too. Stephen Lynch said also the Eurovision giving the Den energy this week. Love it.
We're sick and tag.
It feels like Bleeding 10, the way we've been literally in a routine of work, bit of a break, watch the shows, live stream, edit, sleep, repeat. So
you're going to be having nightmares about this room, Connor.
No, literally. I think the break after Eurovision 2025 is well deserved, lads.
Shout out to Stephen Byrne in our Instagram chat saying, it reminded me of Brendan Murray stuck in that hot air balloon. Get down, Pink. It's true. Poor old Emmy was stuck up there. It wasn't to be. Can you imagine the gals? I love the word gals. We're going to have to hear on Joe Duffy tomorrow, says Mike. Really boils my fish.
Yeah, it happens every year, lads, whether we qualify or not. Last year they were giving out about Bambi being a Satanist and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like people complain for the sake of complaining when it comes to Eurovision. So it's going to happen either way. But yeah, I think we can't be complaining tomorrow morning because, as we said previously, the public gave Emmy 12 points. They voted for her to go to Eurovision, so there's no leg to stand on with that. Bjorn asked, do you expect any wildcards? Withdrawals next year? I think for Ireland, definitely not. This is not something that's on the cards. Dependent on winner, I guess. Michael Keeley was speaking about that today, and you can go back and listen to that, obviously. But I think, other than that, I don't think we'll be seeing a withdrawal. I hope not, for God's sake, because whether you like it or not, Eurosong has been improving year on, year out, and particularly this year. And hopefully next year we're one step closer to a standalone national final. I feel like we're saying that every year, but it's definitely not for Ireland. Ultimately Eurovision is quite cheap television for the amount of hours of content you are getting. But I just hope that RT continues to build on that going forward as well.
Yeah. This comment is like a lovely silver lining. No Ireland, but we got a dub in the final. He's a survivor.
For all our slagging, fair enough.
And Joshua Curran, Irish songwriter.
Yes,
congratulations. We've got an Irish songwriter in the final.
We got to say Irish Czech. You always forget the Czech bit. I know it's Irish, but he's half Irish, half Czech.
Oh yeah, of course he is. I'm just referencing it because we're Eurovision, So yeah, sadly for Ben Pine and Larissa, they will not be in the final, but very used to them, of course, for making it to Eurovision. And as you've said, we have a dub in the final. Any last thoughts on Ireland? Because I have something funny I want to pull up related to Ireland.
Yeah, Joanne said on Instagram, can we check in with Marty Whelan and have we ensured that he received the biggest hug? Lads, we actually couldn't listen to Marty Whelan because Sky decided to cut out like 3 times this evening, so we just had to switch to YouTube just to be safe. So we had no commentary. I don't know if anyone else had the same issue.
I blame Serbia.
Eurovision this year, but yeah, middle of Serbia, it just cut out. So obviously Sky does not like Serbia, and clearly the rest of Europe and the world didn't, because they didn't qualify either. Ryan Cunningham says 2026, Donal and Samantha with their hit single Bozo's Bag of Ticks. You never know.
Bozo's Bag of Ticks.
ESC 101 podcast said Emmy's outfit was really well designed, compliments to the designer. Yes. Jake said Sky cut out for us too. Yeah. Marty's in shambles as usual. Yeah, what was Marty's reaction, lads? Let us know so we can reflect on that. RT kept freezing. RT player, lads, was perfect. That's good. No offense, but it's the Irish attitude of sure, it's grand. That's why I left Ireland as someone working in the creative industry. Very interesting. From Brusker gang. Lena's satellite cut out. I love that comment. Yeah.
I saw a very fun thread on Reddit earlier, and I thought we'd all enjoy this as a bit of levity, especially if we non-qualified. So, and chat, feel free to join in on this with Connor and I. This obviously won't happen because we've non-qualified, but it was a post. It wasn't in like a Eurovision Reddit. It was in like a general Ireland Reddit. If Ireland won Eurovision, who would present it next year? And some of the answers are The woman who announces the station names on the Lewis. We'd probably break out Dustin the Turkey again. Kilty wouldn't be the worst. Davy Fitz, I'd watch that. Laura Fox, Jennifer Zamparelli and Nikki Byrne. Kneecap, that would be controversial. Zig and Zag, possibly with Daniel O'Donnell as a sidekick. Marty Morrissey. Lottie Ryan, considering Jerry did it in the past. Enoch Burke, that's a left field one. The two Johnnies with Jamie Heaslip to talk some mindless rabble about tech. There you go, that's what some of the local viewers would think if we were to host. Okay, Connor's not interested.
I was like, it's not going to matter because we didn't qualify. Jean said Sky cut out for me 3 times as well. Yeah. Eurovision should host the next Eurovision Song Contest in Ireland. Jeez, we'll be about 90. We'll be half dead. Any final thoughts on Ireland not qualifying, lads? Let us know. Again, we're not too surprised. We're happy though. Louise Cantillon for the green room, Joanne says. Yes, very, very true. Main host, lads. Give Louise Cantillon the main gig. But yeah, do you want to talk about the overall qualifiers then now?
Yeah, someone's asking about my glitter ball glasses. I presume you mean these ones. Is that what he means? I do have them anyway. I think I got them on Amazon.
Did you read the rest of the comments? They bought it after seeing you wear them.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice. So the rest of the non-qualifiers then. Serbia, no surprise, don't care. Deserved. Do you have anything to add to that, Connor?
No.
Montenegro, same.
No surprise.
Sorry. Georgia, same. Sorry. Czechia, kiss kiss goodbye. Marty Whelan was throwing some shade at that one.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong for him, I guess. Maybe the staging of the song be interesting to know, because this was like pretty high in the odds to qualify pre-contest, and a lot of people loved it. And of course, like, there was very much big hype for Czechia from the delegation going in, and wasn't it promoted to like their main channel this year? So there is kind of like maybe pressure on Czechia next year, potentially withdrawing if, the broadcaster is like, well, we backed this, we put money into this, and now it didn't qualify. So I'd maybe potentially be worried for Czechia coming back next year. Speaking of that, Montenegro as well, Georgia possibly as well. Yeah, there's a few countries there on the brink now, possibly of withdrawing after failing to qualify, which is a shame. I know someone asked that earlier, and I was referencing Ireland more so. But yeah, I'd be worried for Czechia in particular now, just based on the hype that the delegation itself was feeling this year heading into Eurovision. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me with Czechia, I never rated the song, but I'd love Adonis to come back another year with a better package, I think. But it was a decent effort. It didn't come together. He felt a bit off time at points tonight. I wondered, was there something going on with his earpiece? Thanks, guys, for joining in the host suggestion. Some crack happening with that in the chat. And sorry, my glitter ball drinks glass is what you were asking about, Ray. I believe that was also Amazon. Got them for a hen party, actually. So we've kind of rattled through a lot of the non-qualifiers there. Australia, I saw poor old Ellen. She's been up early, and another non-qualification. Hope you get a good sleep tonight, Ellen. I really like Gojo, and the song was a bit of fun. I just didn't feel it was the strongest opener, and I did forget it as the show went on, and it was lacking something. It was lacking X factor. Interesting that the first 3 songs in the semi-final did not progress. So yeah, another non-qualification for Australia, giving them a slightly more checkered record, would we say?
Yeah, and I think maybe last year undeservingly not qualifying. I think a lot of, particularly us here at the Eurovision podcast, we loved what's it called? That's gone from my head now. Australia last year. What was that called?
Electric Fields.
Electric Fields. That should have qualified. This year, I thought vocally he was just a bit off. It was just off-putting. I was kind of uncomfortable watching it, and not entirely surprised that it didn't qualify, to be honest. So yeah, I think a bit of reflection period for Australia now. Maybe go back to Australia decides and give it back to the public now and let them decide, because that's what is it, 3 years in a row now that they failed to qualify with the song from, well, no, Voyager qualified. Their internal selections are getting more checkered, definitely.
Any thoughts about Australia? Australia had 3 costume reveals and a giant blender. Aaron says, gutted for Gojo. He's been such a great character. Angus says, oh, let me click on it. Angus says, vocals were fine, but he sounded out of it, like he didn't want to do it. Jack says, sorry, it's not clicking. To be fair, it was the perfect package, no pun intended, but the vocal was shite. Tell us how you really feel. Jake says, I liked the commercial vibe to it. The first half was a slow burner. Tell me about it. Rachel says, hated Australia. I was cringing the whole time watching it. Yeah, not overall majorly positive for Australia. KOB asks, how close do you think Australia was to qualifying? 11th or lower? It could have been 11th. Very hard to call who's 11th in the semi. A bit of a mad one, but it could have been Serbia.
I agree. Considering they've never finished outside that spot, in a semi-final. So is this the year that they finished? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Serbia was 11th, Australia 12th, Ireland 13th.
Yeah,
Maybe
not a bad shout.
Australia 13th, Ireland 12th, potentially. I don't think we finished 11th. If we finished 11th, it would be annoying. I hate that feeling of like, oh, we were so close, but not close enough. But yeah, I think maybe Serbia was probably 11th, considering they haven't finished outside that position ever in a semi-final. But yeah, it's just interesting, like looking at the audience poll from last night's semi-final rehearsal, and like the non-qualifiers according to the vote was like Latvia, they qualified, Lithuania, they qualified. So those are two that the audience would have put out last night, and Ireland and Australia would have gone through for them. So it's just interesting how the general public, at home feels, watching the entire performance and, seeing camera angles and actually hearing the vocal as well, which is just an interesting point. A lot of people are going Serbia 11th. Hell no. Well, like, there's people that tune in for that kind of stuff on a Eurovision performance. So, all of the Baltics in the final. I reckon Australia or Czechia were 11th. I reckon Ireland finished 13th. Danny found Kojo to be cringe, and the song wasn't suitable to him, in my opinion. I forgot there were 16 instead of 15 and accidentally voted for Serbia instead of Finland once. Eek. Belmonte said, I'm so glad Latvia made it, and it also feels like English language songs have been decimated in the semis this year, which is, in my opinion, a good thing for the contest, even if it's bad for us. Does that give us hope next year for potential song Oscuelga?
Look, we've been parroting about that for years. We're dying for it, so fingers crossed. Qualifiers, any major surprises to you, Connor?
Major surprises, to be honest, no. There was no big shock this semi-final. I think everyone that got through, I could fight their case. Maybe the only one personally I would have taken out is Armenia, but watching it, I was like, okay, they've turned the kitchen sink at it, fair enough. And there is an audience for that. Like we said last night, maybe the straight lads tuning in who are like, oh, I'm watching this for the crack, and that song's more like me. I might have voted for it. And yeah, everyone else is like, fair enough. Fair enough. I can make a case for everyone. I don't think anyone spot in the semi-final is undeserved. Again, Armenia potentially, but again, I could see a pathway for that at the final. So yeah, you're not surprised. What about yourself? Any surprises?
Yeah, I'd agree with maybe Armenia sticking out there. It did come together though. It was a fuller package for me tonight. It's funny, like I know it was a rehearsal, but our rehearsal streams are very glitchy. The colors off, even the audio mixing, we don't really get the full picture. And Armenia for me was very, very elevated tonight, and yeah, just offered something different in the pack. So not shocked that it got through, really. Very happy for Latvia. Really happy to see that they made it through. If we're thinking about like biggest glow ups, and I know we already spoke about this with great enthusiasm last night, Luxembourg. Lads, let us know in the chat now that you've seen it what you thought of Luxembourg. Just so impressed by her, by the stage show, by the clever little things. Like, so much thought went into that performance and so much effort. And Luxembourg was honestly, I think, my highlight of the show, to be honest. Up there, of course, with Erika Wiekman. Would you have a highlight, Connor?
Yeah, I probably would agree with Finland and Luxembourg being the kind of big moments of the semi-final, particularly for Luxembourg. You know, that opening shot is exactly what we were talking about in our quick fires of like playing up to the doll styling of this song, you know, maybe bringing her on strings or something like that, but they made it like that with those, you know, uh, LED screen. It's literally just the LED screens. I was going to say these graphics that are happening around her, but it's literally just her lying on the LED floor. It's so creative. And I loved the outfit. It was basically the energy that Ireland needed if it had a chance to qualify, I think. So I think that's what they did well and really killed us off, you know. And potential top 10 in the final 100%. I think kids will really, really like this. And oh, I remember the doll in the final, you know. They have that memorable moment. In the performance. Finland, though, like we said it last night, again, you're waiting for her to come close the show. It's like you have 15 interval acts or 15 warm up guests performing for Erika Wickman, and then she comes out and is amazing as always. And tonight, like there was a big moment. The mic, obviously the confetti, or not the confetti, the pyro coming out of it popped or something. I don't know if you guys saw her kind of flinch on screen, and if you head onto X or Twitter, you'll see the video going around of the pyro basically exploding, and it was quite dangerous a moment as well. So, potential risk maybe on Saturday night. We'll have to look out for that because you know if that hits someone in the crowd, you know that's a liable case, you know. So very dangerous. But yeah, she handled it like an absolute pro and was fantastic as usual.
Foreseeable accident for sure. Like, even if a mini explosion like that were to actually do something to the holding of the prop, it's dangerous for Erica as well. God forbid. Someone asks, Airvision, when do we find out the running order for the final? It won't be in the next hour yet. It's usually kind of the middle of the night, 1 to 2 a.m. our time. I'm right in thinking that.
Yeah, if we're lucky. Sometimes it goes on a bit longer. At the moment, they're probably doing the drawing of the halves or the producer's choice, which was introduced last year. So will probably know that soon enough what half they'll be in. But ultimately, yeah, it won't be until about 1 or 2 a.m. that we'll find out the running order, and we will be not live, lads. We have busy lives, but tune in tomorrow, and we might be discussing it. I'll, you know, we'll see. We'll plan it ahead, but we'll definitely have something on it anyway in tomorrow's episode of the podcast, and be on our socials too, reacting to that. But yeah, we have some of the first half, second half producer choice as well already. Like we know Iceland, Spain, Ukraine first half, Albania, Portugal, Switzerland second half, Estonia, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, San Marino, Sweden are producer's choice, so they could go anywhere in the final. So that's what we know so far. So that's it. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. We should chat about Austria, Connor. Obviously, a big favourite. Guys, did you enjoy the moment that we showed you last night? He actually doesn't make that facial expression at all.
What, the one lying on the floor? Yeah. Because he doesn't sing, so he's not making really any facial expression. It's not him singing. Yeah, it's let us know your thoughts, because like I think myself and Leo, like we're not huge fans of the song in general. So I think let us know your guys' thoughts on seeing the performance as well. Sergio high end staging as well. So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. Yeah, a lot of people are saying underwhelmed by Austria. Austria was just okay. Austria was actually so bad. Some people were saying, oh, Sam, Austria was trashed. Jamondo said loved Austria tonight. Winner, winner. I'm in bothering my dinner. The staging just doesn't fit JJ. I would agree with that, Oshin. I think the staging maybe was just a bit extra and potentially a bit too much for JJ to handle. I don't know. Is that being a bit cruel towards JJ? I think maybe his vocals suffered in moments because of that, because you know, obviously the song is going from that low normal, in quotation marks, vocal to the operatic moments, which was a bit jolting, I think. But Bruno says Sergio Hyen is using the same Bambi trick of making black borders at the side, making what we see smaller. Very true. Luke says we need to discuss Finland winning. We'll get onto that maybe later. Katrina said loved Austria, but I felt some of the camera angles were off. Yeah, I would agree with that. Natalia said Austria was awful, but Eurovision needs songs like that every year for some reason. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. Emerald Lakes Academy said Austrian will win it outright. Nathan Cassidy said I got winner vibes from Austria. And yeah, any more, Lou?
Leonie says the end was terrible too. The random wasted he song. Aha. Jack says France and Switzerland, as you said, will contest the jury vote. Austria to finish bottom 10. That's a hot take.
Wow.
B says, honestly, after tonight, I don't see France or Austria as potential winners anymore. I never rated them highly before, but still thought they were potentials for the win. Ryan, I think Austria is one of the best vocalists we've ever seen in the contest. And if it was X Factor, I'd say sure. But as a song contest, it isn't a favourite of mine. Yeah, I would also agree with the kind of underwhelmed vibe from a lot of you in the chat. It's still a solid performance. It definitely deserved to go through, of course, to qualify to the grand final. This wouldn't be one of my topics for the win on Saturday. It's going to be so interesting to see how this does, just because of the fan hype behind it. But there are people out there who love Austria, and clearly they're voting for it. They put it through in this semi-final. So let's see. I know Alex is a big fan of it herself. So let's see. Where else should we go next? Malta?
Yeah.
One thing we haven't mentioned hugely is I was tweeting about this earlier. I felt it affected Australia, definitely Malta, and a couple of other entries. The lack of audience presence in the sound coming from the show was palpable tonight and last night. You could definitely feel it in semi 1, but semi 2 I think was so affected by this, and Emmy as well with the bum bum, Australia with the yum yum rhyming, and of course Malta serving canned the original song name. Guys, did you notice that on the stream as well? That's been bugging Connor and I think all week since we've been seeing the streams and the rehearsals. But she pulled it through. I'm delighted she's qualified. How will she do in the final? I actually don't have a clue. I don't know. But for Malta, it's just always great to see them in the final. They typically struggle with the televote. Not this time around. They've thrown the kitchen sink at this. Personally, don't know if I would have staged serving this way if I were involved, but they've done enough. So fair juice. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was improved tonight, but like the whole point and the whole hype going into this was the whole novelty of can't and the audience saying can't because now she can't say can't. But I think just the EBU have really ruined Eurovision this year in a sense with that lack of audience participation being heard. Even the likes for, you were saying there, Australia, Ireland, Malta, the audience is such an integral part to these songs. And even our pal Shane was saying tonight, last year with Spain, if that was heightened last year, you wouldn't have heard that moment either. And that's such integral moments that kind of start in the national finals, like Benidorm Fest last year, and carry through and becomes like a tradition and, something, happening in each performance. So, it's a shame that we have to go through this kind of censorship, I guess, of performances, and it kind of strips the personality and the uniqueness of Eurovision away from so many performances, which is a real shame. But, that's the way the EBU are going, unfortunately, at the moment.
Nice point here. All the tiny populations qualifying: Malta, San Marino, Iceland, Luxembourg.
Just to add to that, this is the first time since 2014 that all 5 Nordic countries have qualified for the grand final.
Wow, that's a nice stat.
Also, that for the second year in a row, the 3 Baltic countries have qualified for the Eurovision grand final. And for the first time since 2013, all former Yugoslavic countries have failed to qualify for the Eurovision grand final. A few interesting mementos based on the results this year. Let us know your thoughts on that. And breaking news, lads, we have the drawn positions for some countries. Lithuania have drawn producer's choice for the grand final. Armenia has drawn second half for the grand final. Cesar has drawn second half for the Eurovision grand final. France has drawn the second half as well. JJ has drawn the first half of the Eurovision grand final as well, but presumably he'll be quite late on in that pact.
Who was before JJ there? Sorry.
France, second half.
Second half, okay.
Also, Finland has drawn the first half, which could be.
So she won't close the show.
She won't close the show. She's hardly going to open it. Latvia have drawn producer's choice. Germany have drawn second half for the Eurovision grand final. These are all just coming in thick and fast for us. So we'll update you further once we get.
This comment's really funny. To be fair, it's no beef on the Yugoslavs. They were just shite. Jack at it again.
Malta has drawn producer's choice. Now, please, producers, will you put Malta late in the running order? Because you've been fecking them over so much recently. Let them be late in the show. And as well, let them say can't. Put her on dead last. It'll be about, 10:30, 11 o'clock by the time
she should just do it.
Oh, yeah. What she's got to lose now,
Do GoFundMe if they fine you or something.
Further, Greece has drawn producer's choice. United Kingdom have drawn producer's choice as well.
The producers will choose to down the diva. Very good.
Diva not down. Diva will be down.
A lot of comments. I think Germany could close. What do you think?
Yeah. It's who else is producing? Yeah, Germany could close. I don't think Germany will want to close, considering the last place countries in the grand final haven't really been performing that well when it comes to the results. So maybe, I don't know, would it be beneficial to Germany to close? Would you like to see them close? You like the song?
I love the song, yeah. Two of my favourites, basically 2 years in a row, if you don't count the COVID cancellation, performed last. Mickey Lavenda 2019 and Adrenalina 2021. And they both came 22nd in the final and it killed me. So preferably not. I think the sweet spot in the grand final is like 18 to 24. That's sort of where you want to be. I remember Fuego being around there. I remember Ryan O'Shaughnessy being like 23 or 24. That was a great spot for us at the time. Good point though here from Sam. Germany would be a great finish. They won't win, so let's party out of there. I mean, it's not a bad point at all. Voting will be open from the start of the show, so this won't hurt Erica or any first half countries. That's true. That's actually one of the recent additions I've really welcomed. Bruno's saying he loved the 2020 mash-up performance. Yeah, it was good. I mean, Connor, you were making the point during it that it would have been better if they had brought people who didn't come back in 2021.
They didn't get their moment on the Eurovision stage. Yes, which this song that they're performing, but they all came back the following year and a lot of them did quite well. So maybe get countries like, who else? Norway, Ulrike, bring her back, or Leslie Roy from Ireland. People. Who else? James Newman came back. Who else? Daddy Frere. Let him actually perform. Think about things on the Eurovision stage, because he got COVID the following year. I know he came back in Liverpool, but let him have those moments instead of people that literally came back the following year. It kind of took away from the moment. And as well, hearing Répondez Moi, it just gave me PTSD of COVID. So I was like, okay, it's nice, but Jesus, trauma indeed. What did you make of it?
I'm so sorry. I was reading a comment. What did you say there?
What did you think of the interval act?
Oh, sorry, yes. I agree with you. They had their moment. It would have been nice to have seen the likes of Ulrika. I'm never opposed to hearing Antonio Diodato from Italy again. Apparently Ulrika is heavily pregnant though, so maybe she was unavailable. I feel like the likes of Effendi must have been a last minute shout. Where was the mamas? So true.
Yeah.
So true. I love the mamas. And Say Yes, Say Yes. I remember we liked that song, Connor. Any others from semi-final 2 we haven't really touched on? Delighted for Denmark. Her reaction was so sweet as well. Totally deserved. We were worried about it yesterday. Watching it tonight, I just thought, I think she's all right. There was a great crowd reaction for her.
Yeah. I'm still not blown away by the staging. I love her and I love the personality. of her, but like, and of course the song. But I think the staging is still quite cheap. But did she deserve to go through? Probably, yeah, yeah. Overall, yeah. I think she pulled it out of the bag tonight.
Ben Dolich, loved him as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Loved
love
him as
that.
well.
The
What do you think
Cork.
about sorry.
Sorry, I was just reading the Cork Nina Zizik fan club is devastated.
Population
Oh,
what?
one. Sorry, didn't mean that. Mayo Mayu said, I'm heartbroken for Czechia and Australia. Carl said, so glad that the whole live stream gang can enjoy the final together like the main trio. Bonsai, what did you think of Latvia?
I was just gonna segue there, yeah. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, nothing like blown away, to be honest. Like we've seen it before from Supernova. There was a few new cool effects, new LEDs as well, updated costumes. But yeah, nothing too far from what we've seen in Supernova. So yeah, I think they deserve to qualify. I think it was a beautiful performance. You made a great point in the show that it kind of fell in between Czechia 2023 and Poland 2019. You know, it kind of was in between the two. So kind of be accessible for the general public. And clearly it was. You know, they appreciated the beauty of the performance. What about yourself?
Yeah, we said watching this rehearsal yesterday that we really liked it when we first saw it, like back ages ago. But now that we've sat with it for ages, it's like, yeah, it's good. Nothing new to add, I suppose. Whereas the likes of Erica Vickman, Bara Badabastu, other ones for me still excite me when I watch them. But that's obviously just a personal opinion. Rachel asks, big question is, Con, what flag are you bringing with you to Basel?
None of them, none of them now because none of them actually qualified. My Irish flag. I'll still bring my Ireland. No, I won't.
I have an Iceland flag if you want to borrow one.
You have a Polish flag?
I don't think so. I'll have to double check.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know. I'm just going for the vibes now, to be honest. Like, I wasn't expecting to bring an Irish flag. I'll bring an Irish flag just because we're Irish and, you know, support it. But I think Alex has done a great thing this year. She hasn't really rooted for one country. Like, she wore all black to the final tonight. So she's just being stylish as opposed to, like, supporting a country. I think it's the right thing to do going forward. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll probably go down that route.
Fair enough. I think we've chatted about nearly everybody. Lithuania? No shock.
No shock. Yeah, I actually was really impressed with them tonight. I thought it was a good performance vocally. Yeah, nothing major to add with them. Yeah, a lot of the performances tonight, like we'd seen, you know, in the national final performances, you know, there's only a very few that we were kind of waiting to see what they would do, like Austria, like Denmark. You know, they were teasing that kind of revamp. So not too many surprises, you know. Bonzo said Alex Basmati cameo on RT News got me shook. I actually haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, there's a clip of her at the beginning.
Very good. And of course,
Yeah.
Lou, you're on Radio Naguel
Yeah.
this afternoon as well.
Bhí mé, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bhí sé go húntaach fad. Great to see Alex with her amazing coverage. Fair play, Miss Basil Matty. And I hope she's getting sleep as well. But right now, she's probably not. She's probably in Euroclub. She hasn't joined for the pre-drinks tonight. She probably went straight out.
Well, they're probably having the big debrief in the press centre now of like with all the Irish of like what went wrong, what are we gonna do? You know, what's the plan for next year? So yeah, we see what happens. I'm sure you'll see her coverage tomorrow, whatever she's getting right now.
Yeah, there's a nice point there. Whether we like it or not, it's nice to see that the likes of Portugal and Lithuania can make it through, even without a jury vote. It's a reminder there's no formula for getting through a semi.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Of course, Sam asking thoughts on the UK.
Yeah, I thought that it was an improvement last night. I think vocally one of them is still weaker than the others, which is, I guess, natural in a girl group or a boy group or any bands. You know, they're always weaker and stronger members. The girl with the ginger hair, I'm always gravitated towards her. Like her vocal and stage presence is so good. Again, the staging is very Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, that kind of vibe. So there's definitely going to be an audience to this. Vocally, I think the jury will really love it. So it could come a possible top 10, maybe, you know, with the jury. But is a televote going to back it? It really depends on where it is going to fall within the running order. But yeah, I think UK should be proud. Interesting to hear about that drama that is like being tossed around on X and stuff, whether that was true with, you know, them being allowed to see the rehearsal clips and stuff like that. So if that's the case, weird choice by the BBC, but You? What about you? Thoughts on UK?
Yeah, I'd agree. I was saying during it that I feel the redhead Lauren really is carrying the vocal with the three of them at the moment, but maybe they're just going easy and Saturday will be the ultimate performance. It was definitely an improvement from last night's rehearsal. I feel there could be more on the stage. Like, again, is this another case of, like with Australia, I was kind of saying yesterday, have they chucked a lot of the budget at the big prop? And then the rest of the staging is just la la la, dance around, few colours, few lights. Because the chandelier is very impressive. I like the way it flashes. But I'm kind of bored of it after, their first round around it. Um,
Just to give you an update, Emmy has posted on Instagram in the last few minutes and posted a photo with her brother. And she said, "I'm so sorry, Ireland. We will forever love you and be grateful and honored to have represented you." Big
ah,
love to Emmy and all the team as well.
no need to be sorry. You did
Um,
a great job, Emmy.
yeah, and it's good to see Kai from Sweden commented saying, "We still love you," which is nice to
Ah,
see that. And former Eurosong contestant as well, Niall, saying, "You performed your heart and soul out, Emmy. You should be so, so proud." And the comments are just full of love for Emmy. So head over to that Instagram post, lads, and make sure you share the love for Emmy in, difficult moments. It's mad. We think of it, the highs of Eurovision qualifying, doing well, and then also the lows of, all this work after months and months and months, and then it's just over. We were talking about it last night that some people are, have four more performances, ahead of them tomorrow and on Saturday overall. And then some people are just like, this is my last performance in front of an audience. Kind of scary when you think about it.
it's a cruel mistress. Fionn on Insta saying, "Hi guys, my TV cut out just before Ikama. Had to scramble on the Eurovision live stream to watch it. Erica is an incredible performance. Pleasantly surprised by Luxembourg. Loin d'ici vibes." Yeah, the same thing happened to us. We were saying earlier, it seems to be that Sky cut out all across Ireland and the UK. Poor Connor flicking between the YouTube stream, trying to get it back up. Then right before the qualifiers, our YouTube stream did a very quick glitch and
Mm.
we were like ready for war. Can you imagine right before the qualifiers, but it was okay.
And we were like, Jesus, does nothing want us to watch the semi final results now? So annoying. So, so annoying. But Monty said my Sky also cut out just before Finland. It's so, so annoying. I know. The one night of the year when you want the telly to work, it's like a football match. It's like, come on, get it right, lads. Get it right. Lads, any more questions for us? We've kind of blitzed around everything and talked about the majority of it. Again, like no real surprises, I think, overall for us tonight. Nothing really shocked us. Maybe Armenia, but everyone else were kind of in agreement. They deserve to qualify. So yeah. Why did Australia not qualify, you think? Probably, I don't know, maybe vocally it wasn't amazing. It probably didn't light people's fires, as an opener. It would have been interesting to see how Australia and Ireland would have done if they swapped places. I think Ireland would have been a much better opener, so potentially could have, elevated them a bit. Maybe people thought it was a bit off-putting, the milkshake man, the lyrics of it, and the overall vibe. The shirtless man, the package that was clearly evident. So maybe people were just put off by it, similar to Ollie Alexander and was there one in semi-final two that was similar? I don't know, I can't remember, but yeah. So yeah, I'll have to wait and see.
Emma on Instagram asks us thoughts on France.
Beautiful. Really, really nice. Absolutely fantastic. My only thing is that I'd love to see it with Switzerland's camera. The effect that they do, because I think that would really add it to the performance. But I think they've thrown the money at it, and potential winner, yeah, I think it could win. Could win. What about yourself? Do you like France?
Yeah, absolutely stunning. Definite jury contender. Her vocal is just unflappable. It's stunning. She really, really sells it. It feels very genuine as well. I think there might be a scrap potentially between France and Switzerland. I personally don't know if we're going to see Austria up there anymore. Maybe I'll be wrong on Saturday. Egg on my face, who knows? But I think France is absolutely stunning. I love what they've done with it. And interesting to know that it's apparently not sand, it's cork that's raining down on her. One of the spokespeople said it tonight, apparently, on the Aussie stream, I believe. So yes. Eurovision, do you feel like RTE are going to continue working on the whole Eurovision process after tonight? Yeah, RTE are the broadcaster. every year. And I mean, it's good telly. So I don't see why they won't keep trying to improve it. Like our chats at Michael Keeley show, he's trying his best with the resources he has to change things all the time, to change tactics. And, as far as broadcasters go, they are working with very different resources to other broadcasters. So, yeah, I think they're going to keep working on it. And, we see a good bit of media interest and local interest here in Eurovision still. So, yeah, I think they're going to carry on working on it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Lou, can I just congratulate you on Sam commenting on Ireland as we, the Brit, is converted. Indeed. Indeed. Nah, Switzerland better. I would agree with that. I would agree with that personally. Personal taste. So, who is winning?
If I knew that, I'd be a billionaire. I have no idea. I think it's so open. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 potential winners, depending on the mood of Europe, whether they want to party, whether when the sad song comes through because everyone's voting for all the party songs and it splits the vote. Hard to know. It's really hard to know. Actually, I can't call it. Can't call it. But you?
Yeah, I suppose just to name a few, I'd be saying.
Even the TV gave up.
I'd be saying Sweden, France, Switzerland, Austria, Finland. They're kind of the 5. I wonder if I've forgotten anybody. Is there anyone I haven't mentioned there, Connor, that you feel, no, they must be the winner?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think everyone else maybe would be a bit of a surprise, potentially.
I love Albania so much. I just don't see it.
No, definitely not.
But I'd love Albania to do really, really well, like come away with the top 10. That would be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be so hard to know until we have that running order of songs for the final as well. Like who's going to get swallowed up by who. It can also be quite telling, can't it, when countries are given a very favourable running order spot. You kind of know, they must have done well in the semi-televote. Someone randomly gets stuck in a weird spot. Oh, they must have come ninth or 10th, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Eva believes Sweden overall seems most likely. ESE 101. We predict the winner will be a country that has previously won before. Interesting. Netherlands in the mix, says Marky.
I don't think so. I think we'll do well with the jury, but I don't know if televote will go for it, essentially.
Yeah.
Well enough to win,
I think I agree.
I think there's a lot.
Yeah. Oshin agrees. Finland, France, Sweden, Switzerland, the most realistic he feels. There is a lot of Albania love in the chat. James asking Albania top 5. Smudge saying France is beautiful, but Switzerland makes me feel something different. Rachel asks, do delegations have a money cap on staging like F1, Lou? Yes, love the Formula 1 reference. I wonder if it would help with smaller countries. They don't.
No.
They don't.
No.
And it's a very open competition. We can see it even the way delegations are spending money on ads and possibly appearances on, billboards, big shows, all of that. No, it's kind of a free for all, which, poor old Montenegro, even ourselves, we can't really compete with that.
And wasn't there a report today by the Eurotrip podcast, I believe it was, that I think the EBU are definitely going to be looking at costs for Eurovision going forward, because it was an example of something to do with the stage design or stage prop that was nearly double the price it was this time last year in Malmo. So I think definitely next year we are probably going to see the EBU make conscious decisions towards making Eurovision a lot more cheaper, not only for delegations, but for fans, for, a broadcaster hosting it, for the city itself paying for it. So I think definitely take maybe the Melfest route of potentially reusing elements of the stage year on year out, and just bringing costs down, because, we're sitting at 37 countries now, but there is a worry that could dip below 35, potentially in the next year if costs aren't considered. And we want to see more micro states coming back to Eurovision, you know, the likes of what Morocco and stuff like that. Like we'd love to see all them come back because, you know, the more countries the better, I guess, you know, makes it more of a competition.
Morocco will never come back unless a certain country leaves. But what's interesting is Russia, obviously being expelled from the contest, has directly caused further cost to those smaller nations because they did give such a big chunk. We are missing so many Eastern countries from the contest. It's really such a shame. It really is. You'll like this comment, Connor. Warsaw 2026. Let me live my delusion and let me get excited about an affordable ESC.
I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be against it. I'd be here for it, to be honest. But oh no, I don't know. I can't see it happening. I think she can definitely get a good result for Poland, you know. But oh, she winning? No, probably not. As much as I would love to see it.
KOB, I think they are going to put Sweden opening the show. This is a hot take. I don't think SVT want to host again, and EBU will try hinder their chances in brackets like Ukraine last year.
How would you feel? Because you want
KOB.
Sweden to win and you love Sweden. How would you feel about that? Would you be upset or would you understand the move?
I would understand. I think like a little part of me would go, oh, I would have liked a better spot for them because, yeah, I would like them to win. They are my personal favourite. But equally then I feel if I feel they're good enough that they deserve to win, then they should win from opening the show. And that would be a great story too if they managed to do that. I mean, I think that would be tricky, but it would be a cool story if they managed to do that. And I would understand the EBU doing it, to be honest. Like, countries like Sweden, let's not beat around the bush, do tend to get nice slots in the running order. They did open last year, actually, didn't they?
Yeah.
But then they don't. I remember on the Euro trip, actually, I'm so tired, he's gone out of my head. Chrissy Bjorkman telling Rob that he doesn't really care about year-to-year countries running order. But I suppose it's an interesting one.
Does that mean they might put them second then?
Can you imagine that? Like, they should do stuff like that for the crack. Imagine they put Sweden second, Finland third, you know, just something random like that.
Mm-hmm.
B, I have an idea I want to pitch for Eurosong next year. Of the 6 entries selected for it, give TG Cahir one of them and let them organise an entry in Irish. I think that was a thing in the 90s. Would be nice. Yes, B. Alex and I discussed that actually in our Shocked and a Gaeilge episode. And I'm hoping to look into that maybe in more depth later on in the off season. There's such an interesting section of the 1980s and 1990s in Ireland where we actually had like a mini selection on Radio na Gaeltachta where all the songs were in Irish and the listeners voted and the winning song had like this wild card entry into the ultimate Eurosong show. Shout out to Bun Bun Car. That's an absolute bop. You should look it up on YouTube. BONBONCARR. Bun Bun Car is a banger. Anything else to shout out, Connor, before we go?
Not really, to be honest. I think just to give an overview of the first half, second half producer choice now that we've got it all again. We won't have the running order by the time we finish up on the stream. But first half drawn is Austria, Finland, Iceland, Luxembourg, Spain, Ukraine. Second half, Albania, Armenia, Denmark, France, Germany, Portugal, and Switzerland. And the producer's choice, which basically means that the producers can put them anywhere in the running order, is Estonia, Greece, Israel, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, San Marino, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. So basically, you know, all the producer's choice and of course the first half can be drawn to open the show. So any one kind of stand out for you that could potentially be an opener out of those? Because like, you know, likelihood they're not going to put Iceland again as an opener, so that can be ruled out. Luxembourg potentially.
Because it's very polished and there's a nice thing of nostalgia there, harking back to a previous Eurovision winner.
I think Norway as well could potentially be a solid opener.
Yeah.
They like that kind of just, you know, accessible sound for people to tune in, you know, invite them in. Everything else seems a bit kind of wacky potentially.
Netherlands.
Yeah, maybe.
Nice tempo to that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tutta Italia is maybe a bit too messy, even though it's upbeat.
Spain?
Maybe Spain.
Yeah. Potentially Spain, yeah. But I think everyone else is a bit too wacky. What about a closer then? What would you say could be a closer?
So far, second half: Albania, Armenia, Denmark, France, Germany, Portugal, Switzerland, plus all the producer choices, of course.
And Switzerland has been drawn 19th. We know that.
Yes. Germany is definitely a potential. Denmark, nice party to that one. I hope they don't put Estonia last. I hope they just put him somewhere random. Again, like you could put Norway at the end. Poland would be a great ender.
I doubt they'd do San Marino again. That was Bennett, wasn't it? She closed in 2021.
Oh yeah, she was.
Last time they were in the final. Yeah. Yeah, I think those are good shades. Denmark, Germany. Everyone else seems a bit
Maybe Norway.
too much. Maybe Norway, yeah.
Poland. Will people be really drunk by the time Poland comes on and be like, yes?
I think Poland is probably just an easy one to slot in like 14th or like,
Yeah.
5th in the running order, just to, take a break from big props like
Tempo
Erica.
change. Yeah.
Big props like Erica, or like, setting up for Malta, or, things like that. Wheeling them in and out. All you have to do is literally bring two rods down from the ceiling for her. That's it.
Yeah. I see what you did there, Smudge. Erica has to be the climax. Very good. UK Open, Germany close. France/Sweden back to back.
Alex Basmani is asking, can she hop on? You can, Alex, if you're quick. We're gonna wrap things up very soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop off in 5, Alex. So that's
Good.
cool. I'll send you the link here.
That. UK Open, Germany close. France, Sweden back to back. Last year's running order beginning was class. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out in 2-3 hours. They're literally sitting in the producers' room now, probably with all the. Remember the photo from a few years ago, and they had all the what is it? The sticky notes on the wall, and they were moving them out, trying to make them.
Wouldn't you love to be privy to that chat?
Yeah, and see what really goes on. I know they say they don't really consider biases or anything like that, but surely they do. 100%. UK will be used to make it by of a joke, I think, maybe just after a string of crazy. Oh my god. Anyone in your club, sorry.
Wait.
Oh, I don't think she's ready. There she is.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, am I on?
You are?
You are?
Well, what do we think?
Sure. She did her
Sure, look.
best.
I think, honestly, my main reaction is Czechia, first of all, I think I saw coming, but like very late into it. I think it was only after semi-final 1 that everyone started taking it, but like mad that was in contention to win for a while, and people were talking about like top 5, and then for it to non-qualify. I feel so bad for their delegation. Australia, I was chatting to the Aussievision guys, and it's so funny because in the rehearsal for semi-final 2, I was sitting beside Aussievision, and they were really nervous, and I was like, why are you guys nervous? Like, you must be so happy, like you're gonna get straight through. And they were right, but I just can't believe they didn't get it. But I did see that like little bit of hesitation from them, and maybe they just weren't so sure. But to be fair for Ireland, I think we all knew it was going to be an uphill battle, especially with our staging. So yeah.
What's the vibe like on the ground there? You touched on Australia. For the Irish fans there, what's the vibe like?
Look, I think it was kind of negative for a few days, and then honestly today, I think the Euroform model really like got people hyped. Even the delegation, I feel like it gave us like a little bit more pep in our step, because it was just like that outside opinion that we were like, oh, maybe. But yeah, like, look, I think it's not like Bambi. I think if Bambi had have non-qualified last year, people would have been more outraged. Maybe I think we all knew a little bit that it wasn't going to do so well. So, or maybe not qualify. It was just always on the border. Like it really hung around like 10th, 11th. So it's not too shocking.
And any other kind of vibes on the ground? How are people feeling overall about the qualifiers?
People loved Malta in the arena. Like, genuinely one of the best reactions of the whole show. And Erica Vickman, I would say number one reaction was Erica Vickman. And guys, I have two French people here beside me who are here at my pre-drinks. And France did very well.
This is so Alex.
Introduce yourself.
Good morning. Good evening.
And
Good evening.
France did very well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Speak a bit of French.
Bonjour à tous les
On
Irlandais.
peut parler en français hein, si on veut.
Absolument.
Bonjour, enchanté. Comment allez-vous, vous, monsieur?
Okay, enough of
Ça va
that.
très bien?
Enough. We have to go back to Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sick of France.
How do you say
now.
hello in Irish again?
Don't ask me. It's a very sad day for us Irish. I'm sick of you French people.
Come on, you're used to it.
Yeah, I am. Anyway, yeah.
So right.
So France got a good reaction, but I would say definitely Erica Vickman got the best reaction, and Malta.
Okay. And is like, I don't know, like, what do you think of Ireland now? You know, reflecting back on it, in your personal opinion, like, what do you make of it? I know I was speaking to you earlier today, and you really did think there was a chance of us going through. But yeah, now, like, in the arena, how did it go down? The performance itself.
Look, I think it's unfair if people start blaming Eurosong, to be honest. Oh, thank you for saying I said in RT News. Thank you. But no, look, I think it's unfair if people start saying, oh, it's Eurosong or it's RT. Like, Ireland gave this 12 points at the end of the day. I know Niall was amazing. I loved Niall. That was my winner. But the Irish public gave it 12 points. And if we can't have an Irish artist selected that isn't getting 12 points, like, that's maybe a symptom of something bigger, of people not applying, people not submitting. I think it's wrong to start blaming RT or Eurosong for this one. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, no, we were talking about it earlier, just going, people they don't have a right to, well, they have a right to complain, it's their personal opinion, but, like, they shouldn't really be complaining given the options that were there for Eurosong. And, like you said, Emmy overwhelmingly won it at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
If you care enough to complain about it, become a Euro fan and put yourself through the national final season.
Yeah, exactly.
Denmark, Alex, are you delighted?
I look delighted. Although, to be honest, I just didn't see. I did not expect it. What did you guys make of the performance from watching it on TV? Because I think for me, I was like, it's obviously her vocals are amazing, but I was like, how did it look on TV? So I'm interested. What did you think?
I think the first, like, 40 seconds of it is staged really, really well. But the minute she kind of stands up and takes off the jacket, it loses the slickness of it. I think it looks a bit amateurish. It kind of gives me Adji Eurosong vibes with the sheets and everything around her. But, like, vocally, she's amazing, and the song is good and accessible to people. But I think the overall staging is a bit poor, and I think they could have been a bit more creative with it. But clearly it didn't matter, it's going through to the finals. So people obviously liked it just for the value of it. But she got quite emotional tonight, which was cool to see,
Sorry,
S. Smith,
sorry.
Alex, how are the 14-euro
Smith,
glasses of wine going down?
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Stop coming for me. But look, yeah, I actually agree. I thought the first bit was, like, really good. And remember, they had, like, a revamp there. French people, keep it down. Shh. I thought the revamp was really good at the beginning. And then I felt like it just like tanked a little bit for me. But, like, I loved the song. I thought it was amazing. So delighted for them. And like, they're breaking 9Q. I feel like Denmark this year reminds me of how we were last year, where they're breaking a really long NQ streak. So I'm sure they're only delighted. I was actually just before I came from the press center at her press conference, and you could just tell, like, the delight in their delegation and the media. Like, they were just so delighted. So yeah, look, fair play to her. I think Jenny was a very accessible song. But my last, like, comment on the whole Denmark thing is that it kind of shows how weak of a year it is, because it's not that great that the fact she got in. Sorry, someone disagrees with me here beside me, but I'm not going to put you on camera. Connor and Lou, what do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think, like, we touched on it earlier. Like, overall, it is a weaker semi-final. I don't know. What do you think, Lou?
Oh, Denmark.
No, just, like, overall, the semi final, like Alex was saying there about it being, you know, testament, I guess, her qualifying maybe shows that it was a weaker semi final.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, for sure. I think if you're looking at the semi-final one qualifiers, I think the majority of semi-final 2 songs don't hold a candle to them. That's definitely how we felt yesterday watching the rehearsal. It felt like a longer semi-final to watch, whereas semi 1, as a viewer, I just felt more entertained. And I actually really had to think about who I was voting for in this one. I did kind of vote tactically for countries I was worried about, you know, like Denmark and such. I'm really happy she's made it through. But yeah, did you notice a difference in the arena between the 2 semi-finals?
I don't know. I felt like maybe the favorites tonight got a little bit of better reaction. I feel like the whole week Erica Vickman got like the best reaction of the whole week, because before she even came on, people were screaming for her. Semi-final 1 maybe a little bit more muted, but to be fair, we were kind of at the back. Whereas today, obviously for Ireland, we were closer to the front, so it might be a little bit of that. And obviously, like, we were also surrounded by a lot of Australians, a lot of Irish, and maybe other people in the final and semi-final too. So it's hard to kind of judge. But yeah, I felt like the energy was there tonight. But myself, yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, the minute that Denmark and Latvia were qualified, we were all gone. I don't know if we're getting through.
Armenia as well.
And Armenia, yeah, Armenia as well.
And you mentioned Erica Vickman there. Did you notice the big pyro kind of explosion going off?
Are you
Um,
joking, Connor? Have you seen my story?
I saw, yeah. That's talk us through
so
that,
we
because we saw her
were
flinch on the camera. We didn't
yes.
see actually
So
the pyro explode at the
where the
moment.
pyro comes out, okay, I was standing right where like it was directed at, and we were like literally 1 row back. And I have a video. You can go on our Instagram. I'm sure we can repost it. But you genuinely hear us like scream in terror. Like you could hear it in my video, and I flinched, like my camera flinches, because it was so loud and it was so scary. It was probably, yeah, like nearly took away from the moment, because we were like, whoa, like that was a lot. So could you see her flinch, or did she kind of react on camera?
Yeah, so the camera was like close up on her face when she was doing the long note, but you could tell that like she went like this on the camera and her vocal kind of went a bit off and she was kind of looking around her, and the smoke was behind her as if something had fallen down and was like rising up behind her. But because the camera was so tight, we didn't actually see the pop, as you were saying, of the pyro. But and it just shows you how much the audience was being silenced, I guess, because we didn't
Oh
even
my
hear the
God,
pop
lads,
of the explosion.
Gojo got, like when he went, when I say sweet sweet, you say yum yum, the biggest crowd reaction of the night. Like people were so into it. So it sounds like, did you hear any of that?
Barely,
No.
barely.
Mad, like no
Yeah,
wonder, like he was persecuted for that then.
yeah.
Really affected those performances, like his
Malta.
Malta, definitely Emmy as well, like
Emmy
with the
as well,
chorus.
like Emmy would have done so well, like if you could hear the audience. This was one of the most vocal audiences.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts on semi 2 before we head?
I'm just, look, Emmy did a fantastic job. I'm delighted that her vocal that entire season has been great. She's such a lovely person. She's been so great to work with. Like even this morning we got to chat to her, and she was just so delightful and happy, and like just let's not send her any hate. Like let's give her all the love. And Larissa Tormey as well did an amazing job as the Irish songwriter on the song. So, look, all we can ask for is that they did their best, and I think a lot of what happened was down to production and issues that they didn't have control over. So yeah, look, these things happen, and you know what? As Ireland, we went through a long period of this. We know it's not guaranteed. We don't have a lot of friends in the semi-finals, so look, we did our best.
Wiser words never said. Thanks so much to the chat for joining us. Thanks to Leah, Jay, ESC 101, Belmont, Smudge, everybody joining in. We will be on briefly, probably tomorrow evening. Oh, she's gone. Sorry, Alex. Bye. And thank you so much for joining us throughout these semi-final rehearsals and reactions. We'll chat to you all very soon. And all we have to say is...
Oh, jeez, we're finished already. Jesus, sorry. I'm not ready. Give me a minute. Let me get the... There we go. Thing wasn't there.
Oh. All we have to say is...
Song of
Song of
Fall.
Fall.